All right, so when you go into settings on your VM, you'll see a setting for network, okay, down here. And you have a lot of choices on it, okay? And right now, you can see mine is set to bridged adapter. That's what you want to set yours to. That way, when you start it up at home, okay, it'll automatically get an IP address from your router, and it will be a separate IP address than what your laptop has. So now it can communicate just as though it's a standalone machine on your network. By default, you get like host only or maybe NAT, just depending on the software you're using. So you want to go to bridged. Yeah, I don't think we want to do any software updates right now. That might take a little bit. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and also start or change the setting in Kali. So if we go here, hit settings, go to network, and you can see where it says NAT. That's the default in VirtualBox. Some of them, like VMware, sometimes it will come and it will actually set it up as a shared host-only IP address where it'll only talk to the machine. This one's NAT, so it should use your IP address to go out and just share that IP. But we're gonna set all these up to bridged. Hit OK, and then we're going to start Kali as well. Yep, running both of them on here.
My computer is on the trash.
Did it install? It didn't work again? What did it say? It's giving you the same error. Tonight when you get home, download VMware Workstation, okay, and try that one. This might be a little conflict between the ThinkPad and the and VirtualBox.
Yeah, it was just
So. Just VMware Workstation. They have a free version.
How do you get out of Ubuntu?
Okay, let's see.
Mine doesn't let me get out. I can get out of this. I can't get out of Ubuntu.
Okay, did you just want to shut it down, or you want to leave it running?
Or leave it running, but then use other things too.
Okay. Let's see. There's a escape key. Maybe Control-Alt-Insert.
Oh, wait.
Escape. That's a good quick. Let me look it up real quick.
Okay, Joseph figured it out.
You got it?
Yeah.
You should be able to do a key sequence.
Yeah,
Okay, so we've talked about Ubuntu being your target system. Okay, that's going to be your lab. Okay, your lab rat basically, and we're going to use that to test on. So understanding what we've kind of known about network here, if we look at our IP addresses, let's see. All right, this one is 192.168.86.145. Okay, and that's my home network, is the 192.168.86 network. Now, right now, it probably doesn't have an IP address. Let's see. So if we ping Google, you can see it's not getting out anywhere because it's not connected. It's literally separated the network. Oh, that's not what I wanted it to do. All right. Now, if we go into my Mac, this little window, this is my Mac, and we look at the interface, yeah, the Macs give you all kinds of virtual interfaces and all kinds of craziness going on. And somewhere in here, there's an interface with an IP address on it for my iPhone. And it might be an IPv6 one. But we can get to the internet right now because we're going through this, okay, from the Mac. It's going through the iPhone. Yet the Ubuntu box and the Kali probably doesn't have an address either. And it doesn't, okay, because it can't reach a router. We have not told the two machines, the two virtual machines, to use the hotspot. So it's not going to by default. Now, when you get home, or when I get home with this and I boot this up on my network, my laptop's going to get a network or an IP address from the .86 network, and each VM is going to get a separate IP address. And at that point, then we'll start being able to ping between them, okay? And you'll be able to literally communicate with them as though it's another PC on your network. And at that point, you can start doing some cool stuff with Kali. Let's see if we can get Kali to expand here. It's scaled. I don't want full screen though. All right. Can y'all see that? I mean, it's fairly large up there. But I want to go through some of the tools real quick, just to kind of show you what the difference is between what's on Kali and what's on Ubuntu, because these are going to show you how to do a lot of things. And let's see, let me just jump back over here to Ubuntu. Okay, here's all the applications on Ubuntu by default. You've got some basic utilities. We didn't install anything extra. You could install like, a media player, a music player, your basic Word documents and stuff through OpenOffice. But that's about all you really got on this. If we go back to Kali, you can see we got a whole bunch of stuff here, right? And each one of these little sections kind of expand out. Those are folders of things. So if you look where it says 01, and you've got reconnaissance, okay? If you hover your mouse over there, another window opens up and gives you a whole bunch of other stuff. Okay, now I haven't installed everything on this Kali. This is the default install. It's about maybe 1/10 of the size of Kali normally, or if you put the full thing on. So this is small, but it gives you a lot of good stuff. So you can see there's some folders at the top here. You've got, a bunch of folders up here. So like if we want to check network information, okay, you drop it down. We got a bunch of tools under that. Okay, we've got like the bottom one, ZenMap. What it'll do, if you want to see what's on the network somewhere, you can just point it toward that network and run the utility, and it's going to map that network for you. It's going to go out and it's going to use ICMP, pings, the kind of, I think I showed you guys that last week or the week before, right? It'll do pings and go out to every possible device on that network, because this one right here, it's got how many possible IP addresses. So it's going to try every one sequentially. It's just going to keep going and kind of go and go and go and try to build a map. And it'll literally put together a nice picture of how the network's laid out. So like, let's say you're home, you have a router that connects to the internet, okay, Comporium. And then you've got say, an upstairs Wi-Fi and a downstairs Wi-Fi, okay, it would actually map those out, especially if you separated the IP addresses. If you had, like 192.168.1 downstairs and 192.168.2 network upstairs, it would map that out and show you that there's two networks and show you what's on each one. Give you a lot of information. Another one that we use is nmap. And if you just want to see what's alive on a network, you nmap it. Okay, you just run nmap, and you got a bunch of options you can put out there to talk about how to scan things, because you can scan it different ways, and some ways are going to be very noisy and people will see you doing it. Other ways will be stealthy and they won't see you do it. Okay, so we'll go over all that good stuff. And let's see, so we're going to go back. There's another one. If you want to scan like the entire internet, you can build a Linux machine with a custom driver for the interface, and then run another program called mass scan. And it will literally, you can scan the network. If you got a fast connection and a fast computer, you can scan the entire internet and see everything that's online at that time in like less than a day. So, and that's, a ridiculous number of IP addresses. So handling a business like Microsoft or, Amazon wouldn't be a problem at all. Okay, so that was network information. And we're all looking under reconnaissance right now, right? So let's see. There's a couple of other things that you might find very interesting. Okay, web scanning. Okay, these are if you just want to check for different not vulnerabilities, but different, say, things you could compromise on a website. Okay, and I mean, you'll see, people run these against networks. Like if you monitor your home network, I guarantee you'll see people doing these things to your network at home, trying to find everything on your network. But like one that's really fun is WFuzz. So like if you see a website and you've probably seen the URLs where it says like whatever, then maybe today's date, and then maybe / images, okay, and then the image you're looking at would be the last thing there. Well, what if you wanted to see if there's any other images in there? Okay, you don't know what they called it, right? So if it says red car, how are you going to know what else is in there? You don't. So you run tools like WFuzz, and it will sit there and take a dictionary and try to throw things in there to see which ones respond. Okay, so you get like, you may end up finding out there's 10,000 images in that directory, but you didn't know about them. You only knew about the one that said it was called red car. So that's pretty cool. All right, so then Recon NG, this is a pretty cool one. And what it does is it allows you to research a company. Like let's say you wanted to find out everything there is to know about Compass Prep. Okay, what is their web presence? You could go through and do a Recon NG scan on it, and you just type in the URL, the domain, maybe the phone number of the school, maybe a couple of teachers' names or board members' names, and you kick this thing off. And it will go out and it will crawl Google and Bing and everything else, plus a whole bunch of other directories that are not public. It will scan all that stuff and build a nice report to tell you everything there is to know about them. And you can do this for people too. But there's a better. Well, there's a better tool. There's a better tool that's really scary, and it's on here. Oh, I'll show you guys.
Wait,
You guys will get a chance. Well, I just wanted to give you, this is kind of an overview to show you what we're to go to, because we'll take like, a particular tool, and we'll spend a class on it. Okay, kind of going through it. And along with that, we'll also kind of look at Python, maybe some PowerShell for Windows, Bash scripting. We'll look at some of that stuff, because you can take these tools and you can You can build a little script to run one tool, take the output of that tool and put it into another tool and format it to come up with a really good report that you could use, that would give you a lot of information. And as red teamers, that's what we do. Like we'll spend, when I was with the Department of Defense, we would, plan a red team engagement with, say, a military command somewhere, right? And we would set aside a 3-month block to do the pen test, okay? And that first month is all recon. We don't even talk to the people. We have, all we know is who we're attacking, okay? And then we would go through and you do a whole month of recon, the whole team, okay? Like maybe 4 or 5 people, all right? And that's all they do, 8 hours a day for a month. So you can imagine at the end of that month, we've got a lot of information, right? Then that second month, you actually start attacking, okay? And the attack is, and this is where a lot of people get confused, okay? We're not going to try and take them down or damage them or do anything like that. What we're trying to do is get in, okay? Once we get in, then that third month is actions on objectives, okay? If we get in, then that whole last month, we are seeing what we can access, seeing if we can create accounts, seeing if we can mess with things, not damage them, but, to see how far we can go. And then you have an out brief afterwards, and we present a report to them and say, this is what we did, this is how we got in, this is what we saw. And then their people, their defenders will be in that out brief, and they'll say, oh, okay, why didn't we see this? And their engineers will go back and try to figure out why they didn't see it and how to fix that. And that's the whole point of it. It's called purple teaming. So you got red teaming, which is the attackers, blue teamers, which are the defenders, and purple teaming is when the defenders and the attackers get together to figure out what's going on. So that will be testable. You got to know your colors. All right, so let's go back over here to the menu. And I don't know if it installs Maltego by default, but under reconnaissance, Maltego is typically, let's see if we can find it. Okay, vulnerability scanning. That's one thing that a lot of people will do just to see if there's anything facing the internet that has vulnerabilities on it, which will allow you to break in. So we do that a lot. And okay, I'm not seeing it in here, but I'll install it and show you guys how to. Oh, there it is. They didn't put it in one of the menus. Maltego is the one I told you that would scare you as far as what information it can find, because it's got like all kinds of transforms you can add to it. So like we'll add Twitter, Facebook, all the social media stuff, TikTok, whatever. We'll add transforms for all those. So if I wanted to research you, I would put your name in here and I'd put it in a transform for like X, Facebook, whatever, any social media that I think you might be on. It's going to have one for the Google API, so it's going to search you on Google. If I know your cell phone number, or if I get your cell phone number in the first run of Maltego, then I can take your cell phone and plug it into a transform for cell phones. Okay, and it will start finding you. And anybody on the internet that's ever called you and possibly put your phone number in something, or your email address or whatever, it will go through and take all this stuff and it will build a dossier on you. Like all these investigative reporters that like on Nightline and these different shows where they would go in and try to investigate a politician or something to see what kind of evil stuff they've done. This is the tool they use. So pretty cool. And it's open source. The one that you get for free is not going to give you all of the access, right? You have to pay for it, and it's quite expensive if you're paying the full thing for it. But my company pays for that for me. But with the free one, you guys can see, you can get a lot of stuff. It's just you don't have as much stuff. And like the APIs and stuff, like to get onto the Twitter or the X API, you'll have to get an API key for that. And we'll talk about APIs, application programming interface. And that's how you can programmatically get to Google or programmatically get to X, okay? Because like literally, how good or how effective could you be typing, going to X and then typing a search for somebody and then scrolling through all the junk that comes back to see if that's the person you want to talk to. It's much easier to have a program do it and have it programmatically do what you can do. What would take you 2 or 3 days to do, it'll do in 2 or 3 seconds. Okay, so we'll learn about APIs, and I'll show you guys how to access an API. We'll use Ransomware Live. They have a great API where you can go through and like say, okay, who was hit with ransomware today, or for the last month, or for the last year, and what sector were they? And you can like do this stuff, and we use it to create dashboards at work. So pretty handy stuff. But you guys can use it like if you want data. Like if you go to college and there's the library may have a API for the library, okay, for what's online at their library. So you could sit there and instead of going and searching a book and then maybe going and searching another book or another book, you can just hit the API, and if you know how to script, which you will by the end of this class, you'll be able to actually use that API and search the entire library for what you're looking for in a matter of seconds. So it makes life easier. So all these tools that you're going to learn are not just, because none of you guys may go into cybersecurity, right? You guys may just want to be taking this class to have fun, okay, and mess with your friends. But But these tools will be great for you in life. Everything that you learn here that we're going to show you on how to get into something is going to show you also how to keep yourself safe. So that's kind of the point of the class. So you'll learn a whole lot more. All right, so that's just reconnaissance, that first one. Yeah, and this is, like I say, about 10% of the tools that are available in Kali. So if you're doing everything install, it takes up a lot of space, but you get a ton of stuff. So as you can see here, we've also got resource development. Okay, and this is where you can tinker. Okay, so there's tools in here where you can go in and tinker and build crafted packets. Okay, so like sometimes a network connection between 2 computers, it expects, like if you type in ping and an IP address, it's going to send an echo request to that machine. It'll send an echo reply back. Okay, very simple, right? But there's a lot of cases where you can modify and mess with that packet and maybe cause the other end to do something different. And that's what these tools are for. Okay, initial access. This is when you first get into a system. That's what they call initial access. Okay, how are you getting into it? This is just going to give you a whole bunch of tools like the last one there, SQL map. Okay, a lot of web sites are built off a database. Okay, they use tools like a content management system, like Canvas is a content management system. So, and it's driven off SQL. So you could use SQL map. I'm not telling y'all to do this, but you could use SQL map and probe that website and try to find different SQL commands they're using to access the data on the back end. And that would give you more information. Okay, so when you're building that dossier on something that you're trying to evaluate, this is one of the tools you'd run. And of course, Metasploit, we'll talk about it. We're not going to get into it because it's pretty complex. There's a lot of stuff in there, but we'll give a demo of it and show you how to use Metasploit and push a module and have access to someone else's system. All right, execution. This is how you can use these tools to build Metasploit modules, which are pretty cool. Like I say, you can have a specific module that does a very, very specific thing on another machine. Okay, persistence. This is how we stay in a system, okay? Because, a lot of times the bad guys, there's like multiple levels of bad guys, right? You've got the 13-year-olds, okay? and they're just trying to say they did it, and they just jump into a machine, and we call them script kiddies, right? They ran a script they found on the internet to get in. Then you've got kind of malicious hackers, but they're more interested in money. Okay, so they're just doing cybercrime, and they're way more knowledgeable than, say, the 13-year-old. And when they get in, they're not quite as competent as they think they are, so they make a lot of mistakes. So it's easy for people to see. But what they want to do is, in case they get seen, they want to have persistence, which means that if we see them and we kick them out, they have another way back in. So that's what we're talking about with persistence. And then, of course, you got the nation state hackers, or the APTs, and these are the guys that are really good, and you'll never know they're there, and they'll be in your system for 1, 2, 3 years before you figure it out. But we'll talk about all that as well through this class. Privilege escalation. Let's say you get in, but I'm logged in as you, okay, on your machine. You just got regular user rights. You don't have admin, okay? Privilege escalation is tools that I can use to elevate my privileges to root on Linux or system on Windows. So those are tools for that. Defense evasion. Let's say that you have an EDR like CrowdStrike or Microsoft Defender on your machine. These are tools where I can basically run these and kind of go through and make myself invisible to your security tools. So that's not scary at all, is it? Credential access. These are all tools that allows me to break in and get your credentials, okay? Some of these are like on a machine. Like if I'm on a Windows machine, these are tools that will help me get the SAM database, which is the account database of all the accounts on the box. Let me get that and crack those with a tool so I can see everybody's username and everybody's password. And you've also got ones for Wi-Fi. So like I can sit in front of somebody's house, capture 2 or 3 minutes of Wi-Fi from their network, and then get all their credentials, their SSID, the SSID password, and any credentials that are passed on that network. So like if you're logging into Google, I can see that there. Provided now, if it's an encrypted session, I may not see it, but I'll see anything that you log into that's not encrypted. So, and then we got discovery. That's again finding more stuff. Lateral movement. I break into this computer on your network, but I want to get to your toilet or your stove. So that's lateral movement. I can pivot to one of those. Those are tools to do that. Collection is stealing data. Okay, but bottom line, that's what it is. How am I going to get data off this network and then exfiltrate it? Command and control. How can I set up a way to communicate with that computer over and over and over again? And exfiltration is getting the stuff out. And then we've got forensics down there. And we'll get into forensics too. How can we see that somebody did that? All right, there's I don't know what I put in for you guys. I think there's an assignment, I think. So if not, work on getting your VMs. Make sure you got both of them where you can run them. Okay. You're still having problems, use VMware Workstation and try that. You may have better luck with that one. And they have a free version too. Just go, you got to find it. You may have to dig through the website. So, all righty. Yep. Use your powers for evil. I mean, good.
He said it last